We'll see Kristen then, but in the meantime, we're getting an up-close look at some of the damage left behind from the storms that have already passed through our state. This is floodwaters that nearly washed away a well-known tourist spot. In just moments, the Ghost Ranch, a retreat in the hills of northern New Mexico, was destroyed. Raging water wiped out 4 of the ranch's art studios. Some who were staying there had to evacuate quickly.
We got outside to get in the car, and coming up to the building and behind us was this tremendous rushing stream with big logs just churning along.
The floodwater also swept away thousands of dollars worth of supplies. FEMA is assessing the destruction today. There were 400 people at the ranch at the time of the storm. Luckily, nobody was injured. Meantime, as you wake up, the White House is standing behind staff responsible for the security of government information after a massive cyber attack. And developing now, nearly 21.5 million people have personal information in the hands of hackers.
Yeah, and although the culprit has not been caught, many are pointing fingers at China.
They'll find a million ways to use this, and none of them will be good for the U.S.
So the FBI says the information taken, social security numbers from everybody who has worked for, tried to work for, or currently works for the U.S. government, including family and friends of applicants. Republican leaders are now calling on the president to fire Office of Personnel Management Director Catherine Archuleta. Along with social security numbers, intruders stole addresses, medical records, and even fingerprints. We turn now to this now. 6:04, 6 teens charged with murder. They're all 17 and under.
Yeah, police tracked the boys down in 2 weeks after APD says the kids shot and killed a beloved bartender. News 13's Catherine Mazzone has the latest. Catherine.
Good morning, Adam. Police say they tracked the boys down through stolen credit cards, surveillance video, and bullet casings. Now all 6 are facing an open count of murder. We have their names. Listen closely. 14-year-olds Enrique Palomino and Matthew Baldonado, 15-year-old Andrew Hubler, 16-year-olds Christopher Rodriguez and Jeremiah King, and 17-year-old Ryan Archibek. They're all accused of killing Steve Garrick at his home near Lomas and Tramway on June 26th. Again, all of these boys are minors, so we don't have any mugshots of them. But here's how police tracked them down. According to a criminal complaint, they reviewed surveillance video after the kids used stolen credit cards at the Walmart on Eubank. Once they had photos of the boys, they took them to a Highland High security guard. He ID'd one of the suspects, Christopher Rodriguez. They interviewed one of Rodriguez's friends, another suspect, Enrique Palomino. That boy confessed. He told police his friends shot Garrick while they were out breaking into cars and homes. It turns out Garrick wasn't the only one these boys came across that day. More on that in our next half hour. Back to you.
Thanks, Catherine. Police say the 2 14-year-olds in this case will be charged as juveniles, while the 4 other teens are being charged as adults. Happening today, KRQE News 13 will be at a news conference on the teens' arrest this morning. We expect to learn more about APD's investigation and the charges against the boys. We'll be streaming that live starting around 11:30 today.
We turn now to this. The Albuquerque police chief is also expected to provide more details today about whether this case and another similar one are connected. Last month, News 13 told you about Oris Guerra. He posted this video on Facebook after finding his car broken into at his home near Wyoming and I-40. His home surveillance system shows at least 7 crooks swarming cars and homes late that night. Another man is facing murder charges this morning, the shooting of a former CNN reporter at an Albuquerque motel. Police arrested 30-year-old Sky Bars. They say Bars waited outside while 27-year-old Tamario Walton attempted to rob former CNN anchor Lynn Russell. That was at the Motel 6 on Corzine Iliff. Things went bad when Walton got into a shootout with Russell's husband, former CNN reporter Chuck DeCaro. DeCaro is recovering. Walton was killed. Motel cameras show Bars checking on Walton's body in the parking lot before taking off. Russell, a Manzano High grad, she told News 13 she still loves Albuquerque.
I still love it. I really do. It just needs to be cleaned out, you know, of all the scum.
So Bars is charged with murder because police say he put his partner up to that robbery that led to the death.
Coming up on 7 minutes past the hour this morning, the man accused of killing a Rio Rancho police officer is starting a nearly 12-year sentence for a different crime. Andrew Romero was in court yesterday for repeatedly violating his probation from robbery and gun charges. Police say he committed this crime before he gunned down Officer Greg Nigel Benner on Memorial Day. The officer's widow spoke in court yesterday asking that Romero never walk the streets again, and the judge gave him the max in this case. A man is behind bars after a fight that ended in gunfire. Santa Fe police say Luis Arribas pulled out 2 guns after getting into a fight with another man on Agua Fria back in May. Police say he shot the man in the leg, and officers say he confessed to the shooting. He was arrested on aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and cocaine possession. On to this new video this morning shows a pair of moms coming to the rescue of a man being robbed for his shoes.
Yeah, and the entire thing was captured on camera. Take a look at this.
Yes, ma'am, there's 2 guys beating up a guy.
Yeah, that was a call to police right there. The fight continues for a little while longer as passerbys watch the 2 would-be thieves try to beat the man for his Air Jordan shoes. That's when help arrives, not by police, but by 2 women. You can see one of them in a pink shirt. They're both carrying a bat. Like protective mama bears, they fend off the guys who finally give the shoes back, and they do take off. Good for them.
Yeah, he was glad that they're around. Take a look at this. Another airline scare ends with sparks flying. It happened on board a Southwest Airlines flight from Chicago shortly after takeoff. So when the sparks began to fly from one of the engines, everyone was safely evacuated and put on other flights. By the way, this is the second time this has happened. Earlier this week, a United Airlines flight from Honolulu started sparking an hour after takeoff. Would you not be terrified when you're sitting on board that? Wow.
It makes you want to start driving instead of flying, right?
Or train.
Finally, video you have to see for yourself this morning as a home explodes shortly after firefighters in Texarkana walk in. An explosion caused by a backdraft. Cameras were rolling when that happened right there. The explosion blew insulation from the attic of the home all the way onto the street there. Luckily, none of the firefighters were injured in this.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, a mother and a child living in the home, they made it out safely. The cause is still under investigation, but to see that close call, yikes.
What a dramatic finish there, too, that explosion. Meantime, 6 teens are being charged with the shooting death of a beloved local bartender.
Yeah, their ages range from 14 to 17. Police found the boys after some diligent detective work, but Stephen Garrick wasn't the only one the boys came across that day. News 13's Catherine Mazzone has the details on that. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. Police found the boys after a security guard ID'd one of them from surveillance video. They used the victim's stolen credit cards at a Walmart. They also tried to use another man's credit cards at a local McDonald's.
I heard something in the living room there. That's when I thought it was my son. And in fact, I hollered out. I said, "Hey, what do you want?" And jumped up and started to put on my pants. No pants. Taking my pants.
That's the man who had his credit card stolen, Charles Lawson. He says he was sound asleep when he heard a noise. He says the boys came in through his front door. Lawson says they took his pants, his wallet, a jar of quarters, even a jar of pennies. He says the boys also went through his chest of drawers in his room. Lawson says he went after them, but by that time, they were already headed up the street.
That next morning, I just for the heck of it, I thought, well, I'll call them. And they answered. They said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I want you." And boy, he said something and just hung up.
Well, police say one of the boys confessed he and his friends committed the murder while out breaking into cars. He even told police they were laughing about shooting Garrick. Garrick was a longtime bartender at Spectators and the Northeast Heights. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Catherine. And happening today, APD is expected to hold a press conference on all of this. We'll be there, be streaming it live at 11:30. A lot of people are sounding off about the teens and the crime they're now accused of committing. You can check out the comments on our KRQE Facebook page.
This isn't the first brutal killing that police have investigated connected to young teens in Albuquerque. Just last year, 3 teenage boys were arrested accused of brutally beating 2 homeless men to death. Police say 15-year-old Nathaniel Carrillo, 16-year-old Gilbert Tafoya, and 18-year-old Alex Rios killed 2 homeless men in a vacant lot near Central and 60th. That case is now going to the state's highest court. We'll turn to Charleston, South Carolina. In just a few hours now, in fact, an hour and a half, the Confederate flag flying on State House grounds will come down.
Yeah, it's scheduled to be removed from the pole around 8 o'clock our time. The NAACP says it will lift its 15-year boycott of the state this weekend during a conference because of this decision. The organization's president spoke about the ban yesterday on CNN, but he added there is much more to do.
We are also looking to shift the battle. So we have a number of other states that maintain these emblems of bigotry and bias, certainly in the state of Mississippi, but it is not alone. We're looking to move beyond not just the flag, but to the real civil rights challenges before the country.
Also lifting its boycott this morning, the NCAA, the organization says cities in South Carolina will now be eligible to host NCAA basketball tournaments, baseball tournaments, and even some games.
Yeah, this morning, the message of support for South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley continued to pour in. Messages, I should say, after she signed that bill authorizing the removal of the flag yesterday. The flag had been a contentious subject in the state for years, but it gained national attention after a gunman killed 9 church members inside a black church in Charleston. Soon after, a picture surfaced of the suspect holding a Confederate flag.
We turn on to this. The city of Albuquerque is now the first in the country to take a drastic step forward for equal pay for men and women. It's been a week now that the city has been offering an incentive to any business applying for city contracts if they can prove they pay men and women within 10% of each other. National statistics show women are paid on average 23% less than men in the same roles.
A man and a woman should be paid exactly the same for doing the same amount of work, and that's something the mayor believes in and something that I think society as a whole believes in.
So here's something that's interesting. Despite the pay difference, 2/3 of women are considered the primary or co-breadwinners for their families. We turn now to an update to breaking overnight news we brought to you yesterday. We've learned a man is in serious condition after being shot at a southeast Albuquerque motel. Albuquerque police say officers were dispatched to the Best Choice Inn on Central near Louisiana. That was just after midnight Thursday. When they arrived, they found a man suffering from a gunshot wound there. Police say no suspects are in custody at this time.
6:37 Bernalillo County deputies are sifting through surveillance video, hoping to find whoever hit and killed a woman, then took off. Deputies say the body of 41-year-old Deidre Fredericks was found near 4th and Osuna about 5:30 in the morning yesterday. Her roommate told investigators that Fredericks left their motel room. She woke up when she heard sirens, went outside and saw the body. Detectives believe the woman was lying in the road when she was hit by a car. Live look over New York this morning. Just a few hours now, the Big Apple will salute the U.S. women's soccer team.
Yeah, and they're saluting them in a very big way. Happening today, the city will have a massive ticker tape parade for them. The team defeated Japan 5-2 on Sunday to become World Cup champs. Now, this is the first ticker tape parade in more than 3 years. All 23 members are expected to attend, and that's great for them. Take a look now at this newly released dash cam video from New York. You can see a freight train slam right into a truck right there.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was trying to cross the tracks there. The truck explodes into a ball of flames as the train continues forward. Surprisingly, though, fire officials say no one was hurt in this crash. Can you believe that? Several gallons of fuel did spill onto the tracks. It was cleaned up rather quickly.
That's frightening. Listen to this, some controversy brewing this morning over Minions toys at McDonald's. The company says some families are complaining about the yellow characters cursing at their children. McDonald's put the toys in Happy Meals to coincide with the release of the Minions movie this weekend. Some families are convinced the toys are saying the F word. McDonald's responded in a statement saying that Minions speak Minionese, which is a random combination of many languages and nonsense words and sounds. And they add that any similarities would be coincidental.
So maybe what they think is maybe, profanity is something else in Minionese.
Yeah, I've never been able to understand the Minions anyway. So.
Maybe it means hi. Who knows?
Could be. 6:39.